Good morning, everyone. So let's start the class. Yesterday, what all we did? Yesterday, first of all, we created our first component, that is the person component. And within the person component, what we did? We created our function component. Afterwards, we saw how we can pass the props, that is the name of the person and the age of the person. We also saw the props of children, which will output all the content which is within the tags, the person tags in the app.js. In the app.js, if we see, first of all, we created our component with a class-based component with the help of a class. So for the class, what we have to do, we have to write class and we have to extend the component. It's necessary. Second, we saw that in class, we don't have to specify any let const or var keyword before declaring a variable. And same goes for the function. We don't have to say function fun or something like this. Afterwards, we saw how we can create the state so that we can write our data, whatever we want to write our data at one place, and then it can be rendered and it can be passed as an argument wherever we want, so that we can manage all our data is at one place and all our components is at one place. And afterwards, we saw how we can change the state, manipulate the state. So state is again a keyword in React. Same goes for the set state. It's a keyword which React understands, which says that yeah, now state will be changing. What state? Here we are having state is an object always, and in an object we are having only one property, that is person. So in set state, so if state is an object, set state will be an object, and here we are changing the person property. We are having only one property, that is person, and we are changing the names. And if we do console.this state, it will give us updated state. Afterwards, we saw if we have to render something on the in the DOM, we have to use render, and within the render method, we will use return. As we are returning multiple line of JSX code, we'll write parentheses, and within the parentheses, we'll write our JSX code. Here, what we are doing, we have, first of all, we are just giving one heading, and afterwards, we are using this person component 3 times, giving the name and an age as props. So, as we know, we are within the class. We always have to access anything, like this is a function and these are the variables and this is a state. If we have to access these variables of the functions, we always have to write this keyword, this dot, because in class we have to specify that we have to use regarding this class properties, whatever. So I will say this dot state and dot person, state is object, and but person is an array. So I'm giving the index 0, 1, 2. Afterwards, my hobby is cricket. It is a children of person component, and hence props.children will output this. Afterwards, we create one button on click listener. When this button is clicked, our names should change with the help of switch names handler. And here we are updating our state. Second point to remember, whenever we are changing the props, passing the props to an component, different props, at the time our re-rendering of the DOM will happen, and when the state is changing with the class-based component. Afterwards, at the end of the class, we created our same class-based component into function-based component. For that, first of all, we will remove that class keyword. Instead of the class, I will create a function expression. So const app, again capital A. What we do? Return directly, render directly, we will use return, and within the return, it's the exact same code, no difference. Now, in class-based component, we were managing the state. How to do in function-based component? So if I run my app right now, and here we are able to see our exact same output which we were getting from the class-based component. Now we are getting from the functional-based component. Now, how exactly we manage the state in our function-based component? So I will comment it out. I will again explain here. We were using the state keyword in our class base. Here, in place of state, we will use state. Use state is a keyword It's a keyword and it's a component, and hence we will import it from the React library. It is having this use state, so we will be using this use state. So use state returns an array. It will be returning two arrays. One is the current state, and second array will be your updated state. So first of all, if I do example like saying I will say const person array, I will just I will not use second array, only the one that is current state array. Use state will be a func method, and within the method we will pass our object. Here I will copy this exactly the same. And after doing this, I will create one more something. React. Afterwards, if I do console.log, person array, and go back to my React application. For the timing, I will comment these also. So neglect these errors for now. What we are doing, if we go at line number 17, that is this 17, and what we have done, we have outputted our person array. In person array, we are having this Mary. We are having one property in the second property. So here, if I have printed, so I'm getting this array. If I again refresh it, I should. So first of all, I'm getting at first property, that is person. Person is having 3 indexes, and property. Same goes for this. Exactly the same, no changes. So now, but if we are using the state, it is necessary that we will be updating the state also. Now I will create my two arrays, person and person updated. As we've learned about destructuring, use state will be giving us two arrays. First one the current state, and second with the updated state. So current state array will be going to this person variable, and the update state, whatever we will be getting, the output will be stored in person updated variable. Now comes the question, how do we update the array? Here also I will write at the end this something equals to React. After doing this, I will uncomment all these except the last one, and now we are getting like this. So now what we have to do, we want to change the state, that is we want to switch the name to something else. To update it, what we will do, I will uncomment this out, and here it's a function expression, so it's necessary to write const, and here now here we know that person updated, the state, whatever means the name changed, what will happen, it will be stored in this, that is person updated. So I will copy this person updated, I will say person updated. Now again it will be a func method, exactly same as its use state, and within the state what we were having, an object. So same goes for it here also. So we are having the function, within the function we are having an object, and here in object what we will have, we will be having person. We want to update the state of person, or I will call both. And here instead of Mary, I will give some other names, Mark, Alex, let Bob remain as it is. And here I will say ReactJs, and through on-click listener, that is button on-click, it will go to the it is passing its reference here, and this function should get executed. Let's see whether it is working or not. Going to a browser, And here in browser, if we refresh, click on the names, and we are getting our state is getting changed. That is Mark, Alex, and the Bob was as it is. And we are getting the click also from the console.log statement. So like this, we are able to change the state. But what else? What if I just want to do console.log, and same thing I will do within our this switch name handler. And again, if I again refresh, I'm getting the output. That is line number 46. Line number 46 is here. Till now, we have not clicked on those names button, so we are not able to see this console.log statement, which is at line number 43. So if I see here, I'm getting exactly same Mary, Bob, all that stuff. And now if I click, I'm able to see my state is getting updated. But now I don't want to change something to ReactJs. I just want to remain. It should be just React itself. So I will comment this out. I will comment this out and again refresh and click on it. And now we are able to see something equals to React. So it can happen that you want to change the state of one component, that is only the person component, but you don't want to change the state of something. So at the time, you have to just you just have to omit that property, that is something here. And second point to remember, now what we have done, we have omitted that something property from here, that is something equals to React. It is only the person. Now, if we look at our state, we can see our state is only the person. Our something property has been removed off completely, and we don't want this. We want something should be equals to React, but something should be present in our updated state. So for that, means where you are managing multiple states, it is good practice that if you are having multiple states, you will divide it into multiple pieces. You can use state as many as times you want. So again, I will say const something and updated something. Use state. It's a function. Within the function, I will pass my object. It is not necessary to pass an object. You can even write something equals to whatever you want, 1, 2, 3, or hello, whatever. But I will create an object so that I can input some other values afterwards. So here I will say something equals to React. If we see our state, if we click on it, although here it will be just showing this person, but as our person, but now our something property that is we have defined in some other variable will be remain saved. It will not remove from the state. We can use it whenever we want. So this is about how we can update the state in our function component. That whenever you are using the state for multiple variables, at the time you have to separate it out like individual blocks. This is one array, and this is another use state. Okay. So now what's the next thing? I want to switch. Right now we are changing the name of everyone. Now I want a specific name should be changed. Right now our names are Mary, Mark, and the Bob. I want Mary to be Alex. So for that, what we have to do? We have to change our switch name handler. But what I will do, I will create one more button. I will copy it and I will put it on the top after the heading, that is Hello ReactJs. Here I will say button on click switch name handler. Instead of switch name handler, I will use some other name like switch name handler. Only I am changing one. So for that, I have to create one new function. Here I will say const switch name handler function expression arrow operator, and here we can do Here also I will first of all console.log click, and I'll remove this output. We don't want to see output. Instead of switch name, I will say switch name. And now I will be not passing my parameter like this, because now I have to specify when this button is clicked, I want to specify that please change married to Bob, means a user wants to pass its value. Right now user is not able, there is no input box, so we will be doing something like that. So for that there are two cases. Like here we can with the name of switch name handler we have to pass Alex. Alex is an argument so that it can be used. So if this is Alex, so if we are passing an argument, here also we have to store that argument. So here I will say name. After name we are getting exactly same, that is updated person. We'll copy this. I will copy this. Now instead of Mary, I need this new name. Whatever the user have entered, let's say it was passed as an argument name. Let's see whether it is working or not. So you are getting this too many renders. Why actually it's happening? As I told you in very yesterday class, we will be only passing this switch name handler. When we are passing this switch name handler, what will happen? It will not get our function. What is this our function? It will not get execute. It will only execute only when on click, when a user clicks on that button. So right now what we are doing, we are saying on click, although we are saying on click, but in this, within this curly braces, that is JavaScript will get executed, it will be parsed. So here, what we are calling this function, and we are not calling this function only once, it is re-rendering the DOM again and again. Why it is re-rendering the DOM? So what happened in the first time, very first time when our DOM, this web page loads, at the time this function will be called. As soon as this function will be called, what will happen? Our state will get changed. Why our state will get changed? Because we are changing the name. So once our state is getting changed, as I told you, whenever our state gets changed or props get changed, our DOM gets re-rendered. So again our DOM will get re-rendered. Our JavaScript will be coming here, and it will be again changing the state. So it is continuously updating the state continuously, and it is re-rendering, and hence we are getting an error says too many renders, each limit number of renders to prevent an infinite loop. So we can't pass our arguments like this. So how exactly we can do? So I will duplicate it and I will comment this out. I will write my first way how we can do it. Our first way is using with the help of using this keyword and the bind operation. I will say switch dot bind, and after binding we can what we can do, we can pass our argument. And the second way, this is the first way, used with the help of a bind. Second way, we will create a function expression argument. I will say it's not receiving any arguments. And within this, what we are doing, we are passing our function name, that is switch name handler. And here we can pass our name, that is Alex. Let's see whether if it is working or not. Here it is Mary, and after changing it is changing to Alex. So not only we can pass the props, we can change our props, we can also pass our methods. Right now we are only changing our method within this app.js file. But after some time, it may be needed that from some other component, some users doing clicking on some button, and it should trigger a state change. So these are the two methods. Now, what exactly this bind method does? For that, I will create a new file just to explain in brief what exactly the bind is. Bind.js, and here in bind.js, I will create function. Let's say an object const try equals to, and here I will say x is equals to 42 something, and then I will say get x function, and here in function I will return this dot x. Afterwards I will store it some okay, try is a keyword, I can't use try, I will say module. Now I will say console.log module dot get x. So what should be the output? We'll execute this JavaScript file with the help of node and bind.js. And here we are getting function equals to getX, exactly same. But we are not getting what we want. We want to print out this value. Value is 42. So for that, again I will console.log, but this time a bit different. Hello dot getX. After getX, I will say dot bind, and here I will pass my name of an object. So now, first of all, we are getting this getX from this line number 8, but afterwards we are getting this function. What is this function in the bound getX? We are getting from line number 9. So what this bind does? Bind, it helps us to create, it helps us to execute a function or a method, I can say, with respect to something. So with respect to something, here I'm saying, please execute this function in the lexical environment of hello object. Or you can create some class, and within the class you can use the name of the class. Instead of this, instead of hello, you write this in within the class. So what exactly the bind function does? Bind help us to create some lexical environment of for this function. Why for this method? Why this method? Because this method is within this object. So here I will say, please execute this function within this environment, and in this environment we are having x is equals to 42, and hence afterwards we are returning. So if we go back to our app.js file here, so here also when I'm saying button on click equals to switch name dot bind, what bind will does? It will bind this function or the switch name handler with the class. Now this is about how we can pass the parameters. How about in class-based component? So why I created this class-based component? To show you how we can create a state in class-based component and how we can manage. But according to the practice, we never manage our state, or it is in very few cases where we manage our state in function components. We always manage our state in class-based component, and same practice we will follow. For that, I will comment this out, all this function-based component, because as I'm managing the state in app.js, I will be using class-based component here. Again, coming back to this, all we have to do is create one function. Here now as I'm using the class-based, I have to import component in place of use state. So I will say component, and I will copy this switch names and paste it here. Instead of switch name, I will say switch name handler. Here I will copy this button, and in place switch name, I will do switch name handler. Make sure that it is this dot switch name handler dot bind. You can use arrow expression also if you want, and here I will pass my value. So as I'm having switch name handler, I will receive some name, updated name, and that updated name here it is already Alex, so I will change to Mary. And now let's see whether if it is working on it. If I do switch name, here name is Bob. So as we are dealing with the class, as I told you, first argument will be this keyword. So we can tell to the class that we are referring to this class itself, and second argument will be whatever name, updated name which you want to pass. So I will say this dot switch name handler bind this Alex, and hence our name is changing. If I do Mary again, if I do switch name, Alex is changing. So if I can do same with function expression. Now in place of this dot all this stuff, I will say, and here I will say this dot switch name handler and pass the argument, and here name is changing with the help of arrow expression. So basically when to use when. So when you are creating very high performance, when you need performance, lot of performance, at the time you'll be using the bind method. But when you are creating a very small application, at the time you can use this arrow expression. Why exactly? Because bind is inbuilt method and inbuilt method of JavaScript, and here we are directly executing this function. Whereas in this way, what we are doing, we have created a function within a function. So what will happen? It will wait for this and then it will execute this function. So although it is taking a milliseconds of time, but it is slower than bind method. So whichever you are comfortable with, learn one method, and through that you can pass the parameters around. So just now you can comment your function-based component. Now we'll be dealing with class-based component itself. So now I want a user to type a name, and that name should be visible here, like I am a Bhagat having the age of 30, like this. So for that, if the user can type the name, for that what we have to do? We have to create one input box. So for that, if I have to create one input box, I will go to my person.js. In person.js, here I'm having this person tag, p tag, and this span tag. After the span tag, I will create one more element, input. Typing will be equals to text. Now, if we go back, we are able to see 3 text boxes. Now, what will happen if we are able to type here, but it's not reflected here? For that, again, I have to create some type of an event. So here, what type of event is changing place? Here, as soon as I'm typing, our input box, this number of characters are changing. So I can say this state of this input box is changing. So same way, there is a one function, this inbuilt attribute, I will say on change. So you will say on change, if this input box changes when the user types something, I will take some props. I will say they should have some props known as changed. So now as I declared one prop that is changed, now I have to pass this changed prop to from our app.js, from where we are calling this component. So I will go to my component. Here, I just want this middle person should be able to change the name, not others. So only here I will pass this props that is changed. What I have defined here, it should be exactly the same. Props name should be same exactly. And here I will say now, what should happen? Now I want to display the name, whatever the user is typing. For that, I simply can't just render it, because as soon as the user presses first character, let's say A, B, C, D, so we don't know till what is the length. So we will create one sort of a function here, so that it should execute as soon as the user enters characters. So as we are using within the class, I will say base dot, and now here I will create a function, let's say name change handler. Again handler, because it will be handled by the user, whatever the user is doing, user activity. Name change. Here I will create one function now, name change handler. And here I will say changing for now. Now, as we have seen in HTML, JS, and you people did that map activity also, you people also know whenever we are clicking on some div on button, what is happening? An event is taking place, right? So same goes here. Whenever, as soon as we are changing in this input box, that is input box, whenever we are doing something, our event is changing again and again. So now we have to set up our event interface. How we will do? I will accept some event, because we are changing number of inputs, so event is changing. And now I will say this dot set state, again same thing. I will copy it from here now. Now this dot set state, updated name is not here. I will make it Bob. Only I want to change the middle name. So here, and I have passed the parameter to the middle name itself only. So here I will say event dot target. This you must be knowing if you have done HTML and JS in advance. Means change manipulating all your HTML elements. Dot value. Now, as I told you, what is an event? Event is nothing but whatever the user is doing. Like clicking, event can be clicking over a button or tapping the keyboard, or it can happen. Let's say some API. You are doing some API call, and you will get the data after some time. Now, what is target? Target is where that activity is taking place. In our case, activity, this our target is nothing but this box. This box is a target. So I will say target, event is changed, target is this box, and next comes dot value. So how I know dot value? If you will do console.log event, if I do here console.log event, so value means it will simply take whatever it was sorry whatever it was done here. So as soon as I start typing I'm getting this output from line number 121, which is this one 121. So if we see our event more closely, here you will get a lot of options, and somewhere you will find target. Within the target you will find the value, so you can check it out. So we will get the value whatever the user is typing. Afterwards, what I'm saying, whatever the user is typing, please put that value within this name property. And now, hence, as soon as I'm typing burger, I'm able to see my name. So now we have made it dynamic. Means a user is able to change the value with itself. And this is the use of state. If we were using these props like name is equals to, initially it was tedious because we would have written name equals to Alex. Instead of that, we were writing such a big statement. Now our state is helping us. So that as we are easily able to change the state, whatever. Now, this event are not only this change event only. There are various more events like change event, mouse over, mouse out, key down, and load event. What is load event? Load event is nothing but loading of the page, HTML page. I want to make it more dynamic. Now, what more dynamic I want to see? If I refresh my page, I'm able to see empty. These input boxes are empty. But I want to see Mary here in this box as name is Mary. Here I want to see the name equals to Mark, and here I want to see the name equals to Bob. I want to display Mary, Mark, and Bob. Like so, what I will do, just a small change. Here I will write value. As we know, what value will do. If there is a value, if we are having the value, it will be printed. So I'll say value equals to. Now our JavaScript. Here I will say props dot name. That's all. Nothing else. And if we go back, we are able to see Mary, Mark, and Bob. Only this must change, nothing else. So next comes styling our pages. Now we will style our page a little bit so that it looks good. For that, what I will do, I will go to my here file explorer, click on this person folder. In this person folder, I will create one file with a capital P, person.css. Now here I will define some style in a class known as person, which I will define later. Width equals to, let's say, 60%. You can give the styling as whatever you want. Margin equals to 16 pixels. Auto border we can give um, 1 pixel solid and sort of gray type. And let's give box shadow. Box shadow 0 pixels towards x-axis, 2 pixels y-axis, 3 pixels x-axis, and the color a little bit more. Let's give padding as 16 pixels and text line center. So this we have done. In very first class, I told you about CSS. What I told you, I said that in CSS, whatever we will define the class, it will be implemented on the global level. What does it mean? It means that even if we are defining our class person.css within the person folder, and it will be imported only to the person, but as we are importing person.js to app.js, what will happen? The styling of this person.css will be implemented on person.js. It is not like it is not like that if we are importing person.css in person.js, only this style will apply. It will be applied everywhere on the global scale. So afterwards, we will see how we can be more specific in styling, which CSS file should imported and imported to which file, and it should not applied on the global level because it will destroy our styling otherwise. So you have to keep in mind. So now I will go to this person.css. Person.css is here. And here I will say, I will remove this, write a comment, importing CSS. And here I will say import, keyword, and now the path name, dot slash, we are in current folder of person folder. In this person folder, we are having person.css. So I will say person.css. As it is not a JavaScript file, it is necessary to give the extension that is .css. Now, we have imported this file. Now, we have to apply the styling to this component. So, our outer div is this. This is our outer div. Here, I will say class name, as we know, class name equals to person. It's a static, means if we have to change the class name, we have to change it from here. Now, if I go back to my development server, refresh it, and here I can see now we are having some sort of styling. We are able, each component is in one box. Why each component? Because whenever we are entering app.js, like this first person will come here. For the first person, this is the div. For the second person, another div will be created. And for the third person, similarly, it goes on. Okay. So, next thing. As I told you, what is happening? Even if we are creating .css file and we want person.css file should be only included to this person.js. It should not be applied to app.js or some other components. So right now we can do one thing. What is that one thing? We can apply inline styling. As we know, inline styling are very specific, and those are inline styling are for only for specific element. If we want to be more specific, we can use inline style. So same thing I will be doing right now. How exactly? So here is my render method. Within the render method, I will create my variable one. Why? Because as we know, this is the class. Within the class, render method will be executed automatically. It will be executed automatically and it will return. Whereas these functions will be called only when they are when user clicks on something, when some event occurs, right? So now as I want to create one styling, I will just put it into a render function for right now. So I will create const style. You can give any name, whatever you want. No, it's up to you. And I will create it as an object. Here I will say background color black. And these properties should be exactly the same as you write in CSS. Background color. So in background color, we write something like this. So where there is hyphen and then the text, you don't have to you have to remove the hyphen and make it next letter as uppercase. Equals to white. Font I will give as italic. Font I will give as inherit. Sorry. Then border I will give 1 pixel solid blue. Last but not the least, padding equals to 8 pixels and cursor should be pointer. So as you can see, we have created one object and this object is having key value pairs. These are the keys and the values we have all of them we have enclosed within single quotes. You can do it within double quotes also if you wish. So like this, everything exactly same as we do in CSS. Now I want to include this styling to my button. So what I will say, I will go to my this button, I will separate it down into multiple lines, and here I will say just a comment inline style. And here I will say gives the style. Again, it's a keyword. You have to write only style. You can't write anything else. Here I will say style equals to. Now, within this we will write our JavaScript, and in JavaScript I will just pass my variable or object name, that is style. Now if I go back and see my button it's visible. Its font has changed, blue background, this blue border, all that stuff. So, but if you will do like this, like style 1 or style 2 or give some other name other than style, the style will be not implemented. So you have to give the style, but you can give any name whatever you want. So why I put this const style within this render method? Because I want it to get execute each and every time whenever we are entering the component. Whereas these functions should get execute on some conditions like on click, on change. And hence I'm putting this const style within the render method and then passing my variable object like this. Now what's the next thing? First of all, I will delete all my comments here. Or just put. Before that, I will open my this console, open my terminal, and here I will just git add git commit. I recommend you also guys to do because now we'll be changing our code. That's why git commit basics React completed. Basics of React completed. Then I will say git push origin to the master branch. And I'll remove my function based component. I don't need any. This was just to show you how we can create and update stating functional components. Although you people can do, although it's not a good practice up till now. and these two functions which now what's the next thing? Next thing is that when I load my application, instead of switch names, I will make this button name as toggle names. So what should happen when I reload the application? Everything should be blank except hello ReactJs and toggle button. Once I click on this toggle button, these all three persons should come up, and when I again click on toggle button, it should go off. So toggle on off. So same thing we will try to do. So for that, what we should do? First of all, we have to maintain the state. We have to give a state like show person equals to false, show person equals to true, and when we are clicking on the button, our state should get changed. So the same thing I will do. I will go to my app.js. In the app.js right now, we are having only one state. State equals to person. Here I will create one more property, show persons, and I will give initially I will give to false a boolean value. Now I will create one function here. Let's say here only we will create, and I will give the name as toggle button handler. Why handler? Because again this function will be executed when user clicks on the button. So it's an event. It will be an arrow function, and within the arrow function, what I will do, first of all, I will just print it out. Log this, again this dot state. Now which property? Show persons I will do. Before doing anything, I will go to my this button here, style, which we are giving the style, and now in place of this switch name handler, I will replace the name. I will give the name as, or this time I will use bind operation. I will say this dot, now which function? Toggle button handler dot bind. Now we have to bind this function with what? We have to bind this function with this class. So whenever we are referring to class, I write this as simple as that. And second argument is, and we will not passing any second argument or third argument because we are not passing any values. We are just giving the reference. That is this. This we have done. Now instead of switch names, I will say toggle names. Toggle names. If I go to my browser again and click on the toggle names, I should get the value that is false. Currently it is false. Now what I will go to my this toggle. Here I will get that state, whatever the state is that is false, into a new variable. Let's say const. Let's say does show equals to this dot state dot show persons. Now we will be getting the false here. We are no more printing it out. Afterwards, we have to, it's a toggle, so if it is on, we have to make it off. If it is off, we have to make it on. This dot set state, it will be a method. Within the method, our object, because it's within an object, and here I will say show person colon equals to does show. So now what will happen? Whatever, if we are getting the false here, not operator will convert into the true. If it is true, it will convert into the false. And as simple as it. Now if I go back, although we will not see any output, here I will do console.log just for time. so that we can see in well. Initially it is false. Now if I click on, now it is true. Now we are able to toggle, means our state is changing. Now we have to apply some logic here. That is, these persons should be visible only when show person is equals to true. For that, I'll put it into a JavaScript within the curly braces, because now all these components should be rendered on some condition. And here I will copy all this, cut and paste. Second point to remember, now we are rendering these components on a condition, like if show person is true. But what is happening? These are all individual components right now, right? And we have learned that there should be only one wrapping element. Well, this div is for this first one. So here I will wrap everything within one common div, all these components. So I will create one div, and within this div I will wrap everything. Now we have to put our condition. What's the condition? If this dot state dot show person equals to true, then render this, else don't render this. We are within the curly braces, so we can write the JavaScript if this dot state dot show person. So here we will get the boolean or the boolean value, that is true or false. So no need to equate it. Directly we can do it. If it is true, then output this. But unfortunately, this will not work. Why? Because if is a block statement. So we can't, there's some limitations to JavaScript also. What type of JavaScript we can use in middle of JXX code. Afterwards, although it is a JXX code, within the JXX code we are writing our JavaScript. So as we know, if else is a block statement, we can't execute it. So what is the other way around? We will use ternary operator. Ternary operator is not a block statement. It is an inline statement. So directly I will write this dot state dot. I have to remove this. No. This dot state show person. If this condition is true, ternary operator. If this condition is true, please render this div. Otherwise, colon, as we know, colon, I will say null. Okay, let's go back to our refresh it, and now we are not able to see all those three divs. If I click on toggle button, I'm able to see. If I again toggle it back, I'm not able to see. So this is something which you have to remember, that first of all, we can't use block statements. There's some limitations to JavaScript which we can use within this curly braces. So hence we are using ternary operator. How? This is the condition. Ternary operator. If condition is true, please output this. Else, please output this. Okay, then thank you guys.